Hey everybody, Crypto Mentor 99. How you doing? As promised, I have Laura Taylor and a special guest that I'll introduce in a moment. Laura Taylor, you're like, Laura Taylor, why do I know that name? Yes, DigiByte Awareness Team, DigiByte Ambassador, Volunteer Outreach Officer. She has many accolades on her growing resume in the cryptocurrency space. And I've got one of her students, Patrick, here, and I just want to welcome you guys both. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. Glad to be here.
So Laura reached out to me, let's say a week, everything's a week ago to me at my age, and said, hey, I got a young guy, Patrick, a budding crypto enthusiast, loves Digibyte, and let's do a video. I'm like, hot diggity dog. So Laura, why don't you start us off with what we talked a little bit about, the pre-interview about kind of the younger generation and developers and stuff like that?
Okay. And just to give a little background, Patrick was he was a Calc 2 student of mine about a year ago, and uh, pretty quiet guy throughout the class. It was my last semester teaching at the college, and I was, pretty much talking about blockchain any chance I got. I think it worked itself in my professors somewhere. But anyway, so I had talked about it a lot, and at the end of the semester, he came up to me and said, I'd really like to go to your meetup, and we were running a meetup here, and then he contacted me, I think this fall, and was like, well, I want to do so he started going to meetups and participating in that, and then he wanted to do a senior project and asked me to be his mentor. And he wanted to do a senior project in blockchain and DigiByte. And so, yeah, it's been really fun. Honestly, I would say, I feel kind of like a faker mentor because I really haven't had to do much, and he's just really done all of this work on his own. But I've been incredibly impressed with, just his passion, his drive, and his intelligence, and it really made me think, especially lately. I've really, recognized that we have this incredible deficit of developers in this space,
Yeah.
and so I thought, if we can reach people of Patrick's age that are getting ready to go to college,
Yeah.
that have some, the skill, they might not even need a full degree to be able to do programming if they, pinpointed their education, and be able to work, part-time remotely and put themselves through school. I mean, we definitely need more developers, and I think those of us who are teachers that have this on our radar, I think it's part of our responsibility to make sure our students know about it. Because even though I wasn't teaching a blockchain class with Patrick,
Right.
but it got on his radar enough to get him started, and I think that's what we need to start doing with these guys.
Well, before we hand it over to Patrick, I want to get this in the beginning part of the video, Patrick. So Laura sent me an email with Patrick's senior project, which I have here, which I'm not going to read, but I read it twice last night and once this morning. Patrick also has a growing YouTube channel that I'm going to put in the link in the description box below. I highly advise you to do yourself a favor and follow him. Now, with that said, Patrick, just kind of talk a little bit about how you got interested in cryptocurrencies and how this paper, of which DigiByte was mentioned, kind of came about, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. So I guess where it really started was a few years back. I had heard of this thing called Bitcoin. I was like, well, what's that, right? And I just kind of heard it, go through the community for a little bit, just throughout just kind of my generation as things go. People would talk about it every now and then. And I really had no clue what it was. Like, if I had an idea, it was something like, oh, it's like PayPal or something. Like,
Yes.
that's what I thought it was. But I really didn't go into it until I took a class with Miss Taylor.
Lucky dog.
I had calculus 2 with her, and it was really great because it brought me to where I am today.
Did you say calculus 2?
Yeah.
Okay, I barely got out of algebra 1, so right away you're light years ahead of me. So tell us a little bit about the paper. I highlighted some stuff, which I won't bore everybody with, but not that it's boring material, but just to, I don't want to read your paper, but how did that senior project, Patrick, kind of come about?
So with the paper, I had already written a paper before I wrote my senior project paper, and that was on blockchain. It really went through just not much about like cryptocurrencies or anything with it. It was just kind of a general overview of blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the biggest things that I've noticed about myself with blockchain is that I am very like deeply invested in the applications and the like integration of blockchain. I'm not too big on cryptocurrencies. It's something that I wanted to get back
Sure.
into or
Yeah.
really, look into. And so that's really why I chose to do my senior project on blockchain and on cryptocurrencies as like a sort of
Wow.
subdivision with it. So,
So
to me, it was
Laura,
just-
okay, slow down, Patrick. Hang on, I'm going to butt in here as usual. I'm an expert at that. Let me tell you. Ask my family. So Laura, so you see Patrick, right? You see him in the classroom, and how many people? Serious question. So how many people like Patrick? In other words, the have you seen your last couple years of teaching? And what I mean is, how many people like Patrick, someone maybe that was in your class that just needed a little, if it's the wrong word, I apologize, Patrick, but a little push in the right direction, and now we're on YouTube doing a video on a senior paper.
Well, that's tough. Okay, first of all, I didn't actually talk about it much in the classroom. I spent two full semesters, so I was teaching
Okay.
calculus classes, so I didn't have a lot of history. I would love to have had more time to be talking to them, but but even within that time, I would say that I know of specifically that's affected either their direction of their major or their career, or they're at least getting more deeper interest in it. I would say that I know of directly 5.
Wow.
And that was between two calculus classes. So, and I wasn't great at explaining. These poor guys, I try to, because we were getting ready to do forums and stuff, our group was, and so I practiced on my calculus classes, and I told them, like, okay, you got to tell me if this sounds terrible or if you understand, and so they let me practice on them trying to explain that. So keep in mind, too, I was, not that I'm great at explaining it now, but, I definitely wasn't smooth by any means. So, if I was better at it, probably more people would be more, excited about it. But yeah, so there was, it wasn't nothing. And then, as Patrick got into it, I'm sure he's talked to his friends. I mean, it's going to, starts the network effect. Someone's got to be the contagion in the room.
So actually, I was just going to ask Patrick that, Laura, to be honest with you. So Patrick, in your life, have you kind of, not that it's your responsibility, but have you been talking to your friends or enemies or neighbors about cryptocurrencies or DigiByte or blockchain, or like does it come up in like conversations or?
It does, definitely, yeah. I'm sure that a good amount of my friends are kind of sick of me talking about it at this point. But I have definitely talked to my friends. The big thing is my family.
Okay.
My parents were like totally confused about this whole blockchain thing, and it's taken me almost a year, but I think they kind of understand it now.
Well, and he brought his mom. I thought it was so cute. He brought his mom to the meetup, and she was just, first of all, you could tell she was incredibly proud of him, and I don't blame her. But, that's what it takes, though. I mean, I'm the person who explained email to my grandmother and to my dad, Yeah. Patrick's going to be the person that explains, blockchain and cryptocurrencies to his parents. I mean, that's the role that younger generation does do. I mean, I think really, when you think about it, Crypto Mentor 99, you and I, we're pretty old for this, this technology. No offense, I mean, I'm sure I'm at least a few years older than you. So, so it's really targeting these younger people, and not only like just putting it on their radar, but also, connecting them with resources. If we have resources that could help them, if there's a developer out there who wants to be a mentor to a young developer, and what languages do they need to know, and what resources can we give them? I mean, that's something I think as a community, not just as a DigiByte community, but as a crypto community, should be a major initiative that we all have. And I just had this epiphany. I told Patrick, I just really had this epiphany after going to Atlanta to a meetup down there and seeing these people who have projects and don't have developers or are looking for developers, and realizing that we've got to solve that problem first.
Well, one of the things, and I'm being serious now, one of the things I like about you, Laura, is that the more I get to know you and when we do these videos is, and I can't point to like one thing you say, but you have the vocabulary, in my opinion, of a teacher. Like when I hear you, not that you're always talking about the classroom, but it's something, I don't know if it's like the way that you carry yourself, but again, I'm only 61. I've been around a few teachers over the years, but the way you present yourself, and maybe it's some of the things that you said, like in the pre-interview about, like kind of raising up the next generation. But I'm like, to be honest with you, I don't really think like that. And I'm not saying it's just specific to you as a teacher, but I love when you talk and even talk about Patrick, because I just love that. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely gonna take a lot of Patricks. We need a lot of Patricks out there. I mean, he's one in a million, but we need to support the people who are doing that work, and like highlight them like you're doing right now. Put a YouTube video out there,
Yeah.
and let people know that there's young people that are trying to reach out to you and trying to grow the space. And I think they're discounted because they're young, and I think that's a huge mistake. I think we used to think someone had to be, 21 years old before they could be qualified to be a, real mover and shaker in the space, and that's not what this type of technology is. Different because it's decentralized and it allows them to, take responsibility earlier. As long as they take initiative, they can have, a part in this development. So,
Yeah.
and I'm just so damn proud that he took that much initiative.
So, yeah, amen to that for sure. So, Patrick, you don't have to disclose the name, but are you looking at, colleges and universities, and what might your major be? What could it be possibly? Have you thought about that?
I have, yeah. It has changed like radically throughout
Okay.
the past 2 years. At first, I was thinking about something like chemistry, like chemical engineering,
Wow.
and I kind of ditched that really whenever I got into blockchain, and I realized that I've been around computers all my life.
Mm.
I've really enjoyed just working with it, and I've also been super interested in programming, as well as like designing or just how a computer works as a system, just as a whole. And so when I kind of realized that, I decided, maybe I should really change my major to something that suits me better. And so right now it's somewhere along the lines of software engineering
Yes.
or just general programming.
Okay. Well, remember me when you get to the top, okay? That was a joke. Okay. So let's look at your senior project. I guess I'm looking at it for the fourth time now. And without putting you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'll be nice about it. On page 6, you talk about a cryptocurrency. It starts with a D. Let me see if I can pronounce it. Yeah, it's DigiByte. So I guess, yeah. So why DigiByte? Why do you like it? Are there any flaws you see in it, or just kind of talk about DigiByte, if that's okay?
That's fine. As far as DigiByte goes, I really hadn't heard about it until Laura
This
got me
guy.
into it.
Go figure.
But I just I did some research about it because I thought, this is something that Miss Taylor is obviously very interested in. She really shows promise in it. And so I figured I would give it a look. And I've told you before, like I'm not a big cryptocurrency person.
Right.
I like the applications of blockchain, but
Sure.
I did want to learn about it a little more and see what I could come up with. And so with DigiByte, it was just something completely different, like a whole nother ballpark. It was completely out of the game, I felt, when compared to like the earlier like Bitcoin and Litecoin as well. I feel like Ethereum had a really good idea with the smart apps and decentralized apps, and I feel like DigiByte just allowed users to really integrate into its blockchain. I feel like it was just something that should really be well known and should rise to the top. I feel so.
So
I think it's definitely going to be one of those change for millennials. I think it's going to be some of those the first. I mean, just from this might seem anecdotal, but from the kids in this age class that I've talked to about cryptocurrencies, they definitely seem to appeal to digital. And I'm not trying to get tribal about it, but I'm thinking mass adoption level event. I do see DigiByte being one of those things that appeals to millennials for the speed and the security and the decentralization aspects of it. So I could see it being one of those first coins that that Patrick's age group participates with for sure.
So, Patrick, I'm trying to do a timeline in my mind. So tell me if I'm wrong. So you have Miss Taylor as a teacher, and then Miss Taylor retires, and you're like, whatever she's throwing her life, time, talents, and energies after, that may be something I maybe should look into a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I was a bit of a zealot. Well, no. To be fair, though, I actually didn't discover DigiByte until I left. I was just talking about blockchain in general.
Okay.
I was just saying, I was like, you guys need to look at this. And to be clear to everybody out in crypto land, I did not one time did I give investment advice, did I?
No.
No. So yeah, my sister thought I'd get fired. I'm like, I'm not going to tell them what to buy. But I did tell them what to look for as far as like, where to look. Start looking at these resources. Start watching YouTube videos, And so after I left, I found DigiByte, and then we went to a meetup, and I was like, Patrick, I think you need to take a look. This is something that's a little bit different. So, but that's how. So that was the timeline. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
See, I'm queen of interrupting.
No, fine. So, Patrick, do you bring? We didn't talk about this at the pre-interview before we started to record, but do you go to Laura's meetups, and do you bring other friends, or do who goes to the meetups? I guess is what I'm asking.
So I've gone a few times. With my schedule, it's kind of weird. Right now, I'm working full-time shifts.
Okay.
I'm not going to say the name of the place, but it's been kind of crazy, so I haven't been able to make it for the past 5 months. But when I do get the chance, it's pretty great. Both times I brought my parents. So the first time I brought my dad. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's so stinking cute. It's so cute. I can't handle it.
But the first time when I brought my dad, there was just he was interested in it, but there was also the draft beer that was there.
I'm sorry, the what? The what? Say that again.
We have beer on draft, so that's always, He's going to love you for this interview, by the way, Patrick. I can tell you that right now.
Again, you don't have to tell me what your father does, but was he a little, of course, this wouldn't be just whatever his, career path is, but was he a little bit cryptocurrency? I've never heard of that. It's, it's phony. I read a magazine a year ago and the guy didn't like it or something. Was he a little, what was his reaction basically?
That was basically it. Whenever I first told him, it's really my dad that I'm worried about and talking to him about cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, because he's always asking like what to invest in. He's like always exchanging different stocks, like stock
Sure.
websites,
Yeah.
and it's just so I try to be careful with that because I don't.
No one tell him wrong and get grounded.
Oh, yeah. But,
So, did you bring your dad once and then you brought your mom once?
yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So I brought my dad because he's a very stubborn person. I'm sure he's gonna hate me for that.
Gee, I can't relate to stubbornness, but go ahead.
He's stubborn, not in a really bad way, but he's just like, I can do this myself. Like I can figure this out myself.
Oh.
And so I felt like if I brought him to the group, it would really enlighten him and change his mind about it. Maybe even get more interested into it.
Well, you know what? This brings up a really good point. And again, sometimes I'm so goofy, I have to let everybody know when I'm serious. So now I'm serious. So, Laura, I think the second cryptocurrency road trip that you could tell Patrick about later, I mean, it's just, anyhow, I was in a hotel and I bumped into a lady. And I was actually checking out of the hotel, whatever morning it was. I was in Illinois. And I started talking to her about cryptocurrencies. And I'm just going to assume she was somewhat like your mom and dad, Patrick. Okay, just for the conversation. She's like, well, I don't know anything about it. And, I've heard a few things and they weren't always that, that good. And, I said to her, and then we started talking about her family a little bit. And I said, whatever the lady's name was, which I can't really remember, frankly, but I said, let's say her name was Betty, whatever. I said, Betty, you've got the opportunity in your family to teach, again, however that looks like, for you to learn more about cryptocurrencies so you could tell your adult children and your grandchildren about cryptocurrencies. And I don't know if she was a teacher, but just her eyes kind of got big and she's like, really? I said, yes. In your family, you could start the new line or lineage, whatever, of your family. And she was like, just had a new mindset walking out of the lobby. So I'm not saying you're that way, Patrick, with your mom and dad, but you know what? You plant a seed, it grows, it gets some sunshine, and who knows where your folks will be in a few years, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure they had to read your paper and watch your video, and by Patrick doing this project, I mean, think about all the people in Patrick's lives, all the adults in Patrick's lives that he had to explain this paper to, whether it was the panel that he presented to, his teachers that had to reread it and edit, and his parents, and so it's like that one thing he chose to do affected a lot of people. And it's exactly right. It planted a seed. Who knows? Maybe one of the people that he was presenting on his panel, read this and thought, I think I'm going to look into this further. And it's just that network effect just starts happening. But we need the initial seeds, right? And that's where I think his age group is just incredibly important.
So let's do this. We're winding down a little bit. I want Patrick to talk about his YouTube channel, and then Laura, we're going to end with you. And if there's any deep, dark DigiByte secrets that you would like to make not secret anymore, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Patrick, tell us how the idea came with your YouTube channel and specifically your YouTube tutorial on DigiByte. Like, were you sitting around one day and said, gee, I think I'll do a tutorial? Like, how did that come about?
Okay, so when I was first thinking about what to do with my senior project, or as the product portion of it, like what I should do in that respect, I had trouble with it at first. I was thinking maybe I could write like a quick article or something to just kind of like reach out to people. But then I realized I have experience in the past. I've done video editing before.
Wow.
I have the software. So I figured, why not just do this? I also have like professional mic setup. This is stuff I've worked on in the past. And I figured why not just go ahead and, try something out with that. I also felt like it would reach out more people in my generation. I felt like, nowadays it's people want information quick and fast, and
Yeah.
it was the best choice.
So are your plans, and we talked a little bit about this in a pre-interview, are your plans today, and plans can change, that's fine, ebb and flow, are your plans to kind of keep on doing a video here or there and posting it on your YouTube channel?
Sort of.
Okay,
As far as now, I've postponed it just because I want to go ahead and finish my education and then start thinking about what I should take on from there.
Sure.
If it's with like doing YouTube or starting the
Okay.
group.
and I'm not pushing
Personally,
you into it, I'm just asking so everybody can know and subscribe to your channel, that's all.
But if it is something that I'll take on, it'll probably be a few years going,
Sure.
and we'll see what happens there. Just because it's a little too much right now.
Sure.
How long, I never asked you, how long did it take you to do that tutorial?
It took me 2 weeks, but as far as hours go, it was like 25 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I could tell it was done well. That's a lot of time for a video.
So Laura, we'll end with you. Everybody's eyes are riveted on you right now.
Why do you do this to me? You told me you looked up a word. I'm waiting for the word.
I said it, accolades.
Oh, that's what you want to look. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure what I thought. I mean, it was an achievement, a merit award, So,
yeah, what's going on with DigiByte? Well, honestly, yesterday was the Genesis Block Day. I was obnoxious on Twitter. I'm just gonna say sorry, everybody, because I never tweet out that much. But so I was pretty excited because it means that this blockchain's been around for 5 years, and that's not nothing in this space. So that was a pretty big thing, and so it just felt like all the news was coming in at once. I know people have heard we're on the DX exchange. We just got added to, and I'm going to say it, but I'm going to say the exchange wrong. I'll put the exchange. I'll put that
okay,
news
sure,
in
you bet.
because I don't want to say the wrong one. Then they sound so sensitive. Do you know what I mean? And people will be like, or no, or So I'll put the link in there. But we just got added to another exchange that had a USD pairing that starts January 17th. And then I'm really excited because the Pillar project. I don't know how many people have heard about it, but it's a wallet for multiple cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
So you've heard of it. So they're having their first hackathon right now. They're an ERC20 token. Project, and they're only taking ERC20s or Ethereum-based tokens right now. But they're having a hackathon January 17th and 18th in London, and they were looking for developers of other chains to help them, start working out the details of adding more chains onto their wallet and start progressing, which I was really excited about because one of my best friends, she beta tested for them, and she turned out, became an ambassador for them, and
Wow.
She's highly critical and loves the project, the people behind it, and everyone I've talked to has really loved using the wallet. So it's got some great features, and so I'd love to see DigiByte on it. And so we had 2 of our developers from the awareness team offer to help them. They couldn't go physically, but they're offering to help them virtually to help them. See what we need to do to integrate DigiByte. So I think that's they're a great team, and look forward to working with them. So I was really excited because we've been working on getting them connected the last couple of days, and everything kind of lined up yesterday. So I'm wishing them the best of luck with that.
Did you by chance, I saw the video yesterday of Jared and Josiah.
I saw just a little bit of it.
Okay.
Just a minute.
It was interesting, and I don't know if I told this to you during our first interview, like whenever that was a couple months ago, but for me personally, the way I'm wired, I love reading papers of Patrick's, right? But I got to touch, feel, and look at people, and that's kind of what I do in real life. So, to meet Patrick and to hear his passion, and I love information, but it was a real pleasure to meet Patrick. And again, I've seen Josiah and Jared separate on different videos over the past year or maybe year and a half. But it was just, they were just kind of going back and forth. And gosh, I think it was like an hour and 21 minutes. And I listened to probably 99% of it. And I really enjoyed it. They were taking questions and it was just a good banter kind of back and forth. But I got to do a video on that, letting people know that they did a video. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I don't really know Jared, but for me, again, whatever, my 2 cents, you know, it was just good to see him. And I've seen Josiah like on 4 or 5 interviews now, like on YouTube. And anyhow, so Laura, you know what I'm going to say. We'll end, but you get the last word. What do you want people to know about Patrick, you, DigiByte, cryptocurrencies, whatever?
Okay, I think my like little ending message would be, you know, even though the market's down, and I know that's hard for everybody to have the patience and the, you know, it's hard. It's just hard. You know, don't give up hope that this technology is going to rise above. You know what project rises above isn't really. I mean, we all want certain ones to make it, but in general, the space is moving towards this technology, and you know, the more people who know about it, the better. And so, if you know about it, if you can share that knowledge with someone, even if it's just by, you know, giving them a little bit of crypto, having them download a wallet, and just say, here, try, you know, here's a little bit, just to have, just to play with, you know. And if you want to know more, come to me, you know. Not to sell them crypto, but get them interested in it enough where they'll want to learn more. And if you're a teacher, please find a way to work this into your classes.
Gosh.
And what you say, like, I told my students, I remember well, the first day I came and I said, you know what, today we're going to talk about blockchain because it's more important than calculus. And I spent like 2 days just talking about blockchain. And, you know, good thing I'm not working anymore because they'd probably fire me to do it. But, well, it's, you know, mathematical base. I could have gotten away with it. But find a way to work it in because it's going to be in so many industries.
Yeah.
Just think of what problems or skill set or career area you have, and then look and see how is blockchain going to affect that, and just start there. You know, you don't have to go big. I mean, go right into your backyard and pull it in.
No, that's good. Thanks, Laura. Patrick, we're going to keep in touch. I'm going to keep in touch with you. I'm going to subscribe to your YouTube channel, and whether you do one more video or a million, no pressure, but I want to follow you. And yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for going over to Miss Laura Taylor's house. And yeah, we'll definitely have you back on, okay?
Yeah, thanks.
All right,
Yeah.
see you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.